Hi, this is C.H. Barca, my pen name, but I am the author of the two books listed below. The first book is Clay, Formation of a Boy into a Man, a young adult version. And then I do, as you can see on the right-hand part of your screen, have a second edition. These are just two formats that are currently available at Amazon as well as Kindle Direct. These books go through the formation of a boy as he lives his life in a household that has many momentous moments that he must overcome in his journey from becoming a boy into a man. The first book is really designed to share the story and to highlight some of those thriving principles that I used to overcome some of those momentous moments and to really focus on becoming the person that I wanted to become. The second book, which is really built upon the first one, is entitled Surviving a Narcissist. This is a little bit different in that it shares the story of Clay, formation of a boy into a man, but then it has a second element to it called a reflections section that looks at current day literature. And in that current day literature, we have been able to identify that the household that I grew up in was dominated by a narcissist. So how do you survive that element of growing up with a narcissist? So the second part of this book actually deals with that component. What is some of the more modern day literature on what a narcissist is, and looking back, how was I able to survive those various elements? This video shares some of those concepts with you. Two concepts that tended to gravitate for me was one, being kind of a history buff. I was very much impressed by the Spartan way of life, and to me the Spartan represented strength, diligence, and endurance in the face of adversity. I believe that these elements were very helpful in my approach to trying to deal with the momentous moments that I would face. The second was meditations. I believe that in the approach to life's challenges and momentous moments, that one needs to be thoughtful and reflective of what did we do before, did it work, did it not work, and how do we want to approach a new problem or a new situation or a new momentous moment, and how we overcome that. So these were two overriding principles that were used throughout my life. Clay, The Formation of a Boy into a Man, second edition. This book truly highlights the story of a boy who had to overcome several momentous moments. This is a story of a journey that evolves from a dysfunctional family environment, and how does one function in that environment, and how does one take himself out of that environment in the long run and become the person who he wants to be. Some of the principles are highlighted in this video that are considered to be the Thriving Guide principles. Surviving a Narcissist is a variation of Clay, Formation of a Boy into a Man. The story of a boy who had to overcome several momentous moments. This is a story of a journey that evolves from a dysfunctional family environment into a man he envisioned for himself. This version is an expanded version of the book Clay. This version includes a reflection section that looks back over decades with more current resources to understand the journey and the story that clay formation of a boy into a man really entails, based upon that my existence as a child was a journey of surviving a narcissist. The Thriving Guide concepts. The first is, I truly believe that you must consider yourself to be the master of your own thoughts. It is only through your taking responsibility for your own thoughts and your own actions that you can begin to measure and make sure that you start to lead the life that you want to lead, and not to have the lives that are dictated to you by others. So one of the key components or key principles are really that you are the master of your own thoughts. The second is important. Focus on the elements of your youth that are positive experiences or traits, and try to ignore some negative influences. In my life's journey, I was faced with a medical condition that had an effect of discoloring my teeth, and would give kids an opportunity to focus on that negative element of who I was as a person. And then secondly, having a narcissistic father who really believed in belittling others in order to support the image of himself. These were very powerful influences on me, and one of the things I had to learn during my journey was how do you transition out of those elements and focus and accentuate the positive elements of my childhood. The third is to use your imagination to realize your dreams. I believe that by visualizing and trying to understand that there are other ways to have your life turn out, that you have to use your imagination to begin to understand and dream what those elements are that you would like to be. So live in the present, but make sure that you use your imagination and to understand your dreams to think about where you want to be in the future. Returning back to the Thriving Guide concepts, these areas focus on different concepts. The first is look for your guideposts to follow, such as, in my case, the Bible or military honor codes, when you believe that your current guideposts that you have growing up are wrong or evil. I was impressed that I really struggled to find who did I want to be when I realized the path that I was being led down was not a path that I wanted to be on. So I, in my case, had to seek out other guideposts to help me make that transition from the path I was on to the path that I wanted to be on. So those were two elements that I used. During one's life, you will uncover momentous moments. These are moments that will occur, and that you're sure to recognize them and to see how did I react to those momentous moments in my life, and what direction did I take? Did I just become part of the opening drama, or was I able to sit back and react a little bit to what those moments were, and then decide how did I want to approach those? The last element on this screen was you need to believe that, like an artist working with clay, that you can sculpt yourself, that you are your own sculptor, that you have the ability to change. And I believe that you have that ability to change at any point in your life, and that you can become a better person and sculpt yourself your way. Hi, we return now to Thriving Guide concepts continued. The first element on this slide is to keep an open mind and heart, but to remember to focus on you. I believe that the first component of this is that when you approach different elements in life, you want to try to maintain as much as you can an open mind and heart. A lot of times we have preconceived notions as we approach things, and those notions may not be based upon anything of true substance. And trying to approach and keeping an open mind and heart to new concepts is not a bad thing. I think the second component of this, though, is that you have to remember that you are the person that you are responsible for. And those elements, once you do open your mind and your heart to those, you want to make sure that those are consistent with how you see yourself as a person. For to open your mind and heart to things that are not consistent, that give you a pain in the pit of your stomach, are not things that you may want to consider moving on with. So it is important to look at the world and give it an opportunity, but also you need to make sure that you interact with the world based upon how you view yourself. Another element is have faith that God has a plan for you. To those folks that maybe aren't as religious, maybe you don't agree with this, but at least, again, in my experience, I always had times in which I felt that there was a godlike influence, or God himself, that did have a plan. Sometimes, at least in my experience, I thought he really made me work for it and didn't just offer things up simply, but had things occur over the span of time. And those elements weren't just simple, easy elements. They were sometimes painful lessons. But lessons that, quite honestly, in the long run, I think served me well. And the last element on this slide is I think it is important to learn and try to develop as much as you can patience. Patience, is a virtue. And I think that it also helps you to develop and work on being resilient to those different things that influence you. So I think that the elements of being patient and being resilient are very helpful in the long term. Hi, this is C.H. Barker again. I hope you've been able to take away some valuable lessons from some of the elements discussed in this video. The point of this video was to highlight some of the elements that I found useful in growing up during my lifetime. Once again, the 3 books, or the 3 versions of the book that are available: Clay, Formation of a Boy into a Man, Young Adult version. This is in blue cover and has color photos and on glossy white paper. A more reasonable cost alternative is Clay, Formation of a Boy into a Man, the 2nd edition, that has a yellow cover with a element of some pottery being done. And then the 3rd version, which is a more expanded version, is Surviving a Narcissist. This version includes the element of reflection and looking at life through the perspective of hindsight, and looking at the elements of when you have a narcissistic parent that you're trying to grow up under, how does that work, and how do those reflections work, and did I do things that helped me, or did I do things that hurt me? These books are all available on Amazon or on Kindle. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.